All right. So that's it for that sort of big ideas introduction. Now we're going to go subsystem by subsystem, just going to cruise through the subsystems of the English language, and we'll start with phonetics and phonology. So hopefully you remember that phonetics and phonology, that's all about the study of sounds, okay? And as part of that, we look at prosody and prosodic features. So this is one of those umbrella terms. So what falls under this and you need to be able to work with is pitch. So whether your voice has a high or low pitch, stress, emphasis placed on words. When we stress words, we emphasize something. Um, Volume, whether it's loud or quiet, obviously that's going to change throughout the text, the spoken text. Tempo, fast or slow, and intonation is the pitch pattern. The changes from high to low pitch. So you don't really see pitch annotated in a text, but you see the intonation changes annotated in the text. And this is what I mean by that, okay? This you need to be familiar with these, and you need to be able to read a text, and as you read, understand the prosodic features that you're seeing and be able to analyze them. Okay. So this is loud speech. This signifies a pause. A short pause would just be more dots. Okay. Emphatic stress and underline underneath the word shows that that syllable or entire word is being stressed. L for slow speech, like in comparison to the F for loud speech. And rising intonation. If the squiggle is facing the opposite way, it's falling intonation. So we can see if you literally follow the line, this is rising, and if it points in the opposite direction, it's falling. Okay, so we can see here an example question. Discuss the functions of at least two different prosodic features in the section of the speech. So prosodic features is all of this that has been marked. This means that we can choose anything we want to analyze. One that students really like to do that's always so easy to analyze is just stress. But remember, that's only one prosodic feature. So we could go and analyze why fairness, commitment has been stressed. So if we have a look at an example, Turnbull places stress on words such as yes and the abstract noun fairness. Note the meta language here, because there's not much we can say except the word class. We've gone and named fairness, said that it was an abstract noun to overcome the issue and ensure that there is still some meta language in our response. And our little mini analysis here is that it's highlighting the importance of these terms because that's what stress does. Similarly, the manipulation of tempo from the slow utterance yes to love here emphasizes the significance of the statement. So we've intentionally slowed down there. Some additional features we could analyze, that there's the rising intonation at the ends of fairness, equality, commitment, signals that the listing is not complete, that there's basically many, many more things that fall under marriage equality, many happy things and good qualities, and that he's just naming a few. So it signifies that that thought isn't finished to make it more impactful. And there's loud speech, also used for emphasis and to hold the floor. This is where Turnbull reinforces his authority. It's time for us to get on with it in a really loud voice. Pay attention to me. Okay, so it holds the floor, gives him the turn to speak. Beautiful. So you'll see this a lot throughout this year. Get into the hang of working with these spoken texts and analyzing them. Next, having a look at phonological patterning. So a few terms we need to know here. Thankfully, falling under this umbrella term, rhythm and rhyme, whether words rhyme and what rhythm, is very self-explanatory. So I haven't included a definition for you guys, but we'll look at the others. Alliteration is when two words or a group of words start with the same sound. So Bruce Banner, we see they're both starting with that B sound. Okay. Now, assonance and consonants are the sort of, you can think of them as opposites, okay? Because assonance is the resemblance of vowel sounds. So it doesn't mean that the vowels are the same. It just means that it creates a similar sound, okay? And that's created by vowels. So early bird is an example. Now, doesn't have to be in the same part. It doesn't have to be at the start of the word, like alliteration, okay? It's not like it has to be at the start of every word. It can be in the middle of words, etc., etc. Look up some more examples of these as well. I recommend, just to make it clear. But assonances are resemblance of vowel sounds across it, two or a few different words. Now, consonance is the resemblance of consonant sounds, not vowels. So come home. The M creates a similar sound, doesn't it? The OM in the middle, to be specific. And that's created by the consonant M. Okay. Onomatopoeia is anything that tries to imitate an actual sound that exists. So tick-tock is how we imitate a clock sound. Time's running out. So that's an example of that as well. Beautiful. When we look at the study of sound, we also inevitably look at accent. And we look at the Australian accent as part of English language. So the Australian accent is split into cultivated, general, and broad. The cultivated accent is how the fancy people speak. That's the assumption, the stereotype that it's associated with. Basically, this is the posh accent that is associated, sounds like British, let's say, like clean British speech. That's the easiest way for me to describe it. The associations stereotypically with the cultivated accent is a high level of education, high level of income, potentially having English descent. The general accent is what most people use in Australia, just the casual way that most Australians speak. Okay. So this is considered typical. That's, again, associated with the stereotypes of normal level of education, normal level of income, and it is the most widespread across Australia. I've included pictures, hopefully that helps to create some associations as well. Now, a broad accent is what stereotypically is called, what people call bogan, okay? And that's usually associated with a lower socioeconomic status, living regionally or rurally, working more farm or trade-based jobs rather than an educated profession, a profession where an education is needed, less commonly spoken across Australia than the general accent. Okay, so you'll kind of learn about the accents and have to create these associations with stereotypes, okay? Because English language does admit this as well. The reality is that we judge people based on their accent and we assume certain characteristics about them. You're not talking about a single person here, you're talking about a group of people. It is stereotypes, but it's what the subject wants us to do. So all about those value judgments. Some linguist quotes that sort of agree with the same idea. Accent is a fundamental marker of identity. And not just one type of identity, not just your personal identity, but lots of various factors about yourself and your life, social factors as well, cultural factors. We prize egalitarianism in Australia, but still, at some level, we judge and categorize. It's a struggle not to. And as we judge and categorize, we often miss what's being said because we hear how it's being said. So this Eliot's quote shows that accents can lead to lots of prejudice. Beautiful. Now, with regards to phonetics and phonology, there is also a certain level of expectation in this subject that you will be familiar with the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, mainly not how the sounds are made, like we can see with the pictures, but with the symbols for sounds. If you studied another language before that uses the IPA to um, draw the pronunciation of certain words, you'll find this really, really easy. I thankfully had that advantage. Otherwise, jump on some websites. I've linked one here that gives you the IPA and it's interactive, and start learning it. You don't need to know all of them, but essentially the idea is if you choose to write about phonetics and phonology in an analytical commentary, you actually should be aware of some of the symbols to be able to draw them in your essay to illustrate what sound is being created that you're analyzing, okay? So you actually need the symbols. Maybe you're drawing a syllable to illustrate how something sounds that you're trying to analyze.